Hi there, this is Joanne from TrueAuthenticPower.com from Tapping.me, and I'm also the creator of the program Catapulting to Confidence. A friend of mine sent this out in her email list, and I thought it was a really good idea, and so I took the time to do it myself. And I was kind of surprised at some of the things that showed up when I really thought about this. Now, what she suggested you do is you do two columns. One that says what gives me energy and what takes away my energy in the second column. And, a lot of this might be logical or conscious. But as I got into it, I really started unfolding like, well, no wonder I get into a snit about this or that when I'm doing the stuff that takes my energy. And so I thought it was a really good idea and an exercise to pass on to some of you. And not only to do it as an exercise and be clear, but I think that's a big block that people have just getting out of the gate of what do I really need and want? What feeds me? What doesn't feed me? What stifles my energy? What jazzes my energy? And I think once it becomes crystal clear, or you put it on paper in your computer, on your phone, whatever, however you do it, it becomes more concrete. And I was getting energized just by doing the list to get really clear. Now, any coach that says they've got everything together, I would question them because life is always evolving and we're always being pushed to the next creative version of how we can do something that makes us grow or makes us be creative or whatever. So we're always going to be pushing an envelope against the next level of expansion, creation, evolvement. And so when you do that, you tend to hit some walls or some, that doesn't feel so good, fears or anxieties or whatever that, I'm not sure I want to do that yet, reaction might be. So when I send out these audios or I consult with clients and do some tapping with them or changing patterns with them or however I can mentor them when they come to me as clients, I'm trying to get people to pay attention, to be aware first, not to do necessarily what I say. And as a coach, if you're bucking something that I'm saying, it's part of your nature and importance to tell me, no, that doesn't feel right. And I may override it just to say this is the reason I'm doing it, but it's really important for you to get clear so that you know what you want, because you don't want to be dependent on a coach forever. You don't want to have to go to them with every little thing that bothers you. Tune-ups are great, and I do those too for myself with someone else. But you don't want to always be dependent on someone else. So awareness is a huge thing. And I think a lot of people run patterns and programs. I know they do. I don't think they do. I know they run patterns and programs that are so automatic. You're off to the races doing something you don't even like to do or be with people you don't like to be with because of some feelings and beliefs that have been running you ragged. So I think one of the first things to do when you're trying to get clear and trying to write your life around is, what the heck have I been doing that's gotten me into this position? And really paying attention to like this idea that my friend sent me. What gives me energy? What takes energy? So let me prime the pump a little bit for you, just to give you some ideas, because some people are so lost when they go to think about this stuff. They do things so automatically, living life on autopilot, that they can't even, like, what do you mean? Help me. And that's okay. That's okay. So some things that I put, I'll give you some examples. I might give you several because they might really help you. And the more you can get clear, then you know, okay, what's causing this to be in my way? Why do I keep replaying this? Because just having it on a sheet of paper outlined of this gives me energy, this doesn't mean you're going to flip the switch to say, okay, I'm only going to do these things that feed my energy. You probably have replaying loops that make you fall back into old patterns that are unwanted, and that would be the next step. So let's just start with this step right here, awareness. What gives you energy? What takes energy? So some things might be, and these might not apply to you. Some of these didn't used to apply to me. Like my first one now is meditating. For the life of me, I could not meditate when I was in such heavy swirling energy. And I've talked about pockets of time where I was really, things were horrible, absolutely horrible, life and death kind of situations that were horrible and so demanding physically and emotionally. I could not meditate in those times. which is why I turn to energy techniques of different sorts, like tapping, EFT tapping. It's definitely one of my go-tos. I couldn't calm down enough to be quiet and still. It made me rev up even more. It made me feel even crazier. So if you can't meditate, there's hope. Someday you may be able to, and it is very powerful. But if you can't do that yet, there's a reason. Okay, side note, let's go back to this. So my first thing was meditating. And what takes my energy is swirling in negativity or lack of direction. Gives me energy, having a focus. Takes my energy, having no focus. Now, there could be reasons for that too. I'm not going to go into all that here, but I'm just saying these are some ideas. Feeling accomplished gives me energy. Doing nothing or hiding takes my energy. And you may have reasons why you have to do some of these things. Are you getting the idea of you can put some of these things down, but if you're saying, I can't do that, okay, then that's your next awareness of what you have to tap on to get through those patterns, or be guided with a coach to help you break those associations or why you're so ingrained in the subconscious mind to do those things. Okay, so being respected and appreciated is one of mine. Being shut down is something that takes energy. Listening to uplifting stuff, and I'm talking anything from inspirational things, like certain people who know how to use the law of attraction well, who can kind of snap me back into, okay, wait a minute, I know how to do this. I know this better. I know this more than I'm giving myself credit for right here. I just need a little, wait a minute, you're off the beaten path. Let's go back on the path here of what you know to do. But some of the things that also jazz me are videos that may make me laugh. Seeing someone else's accomplishments when there's so much joy around them, those kind of things. That's what I'm talking about for me. Listening to certain music, all of those things can be uplifting. So what drains my energy is listening to others whine. It takes me down in a heartache, and I have to find a way to either be neutral with it or stop the story. Like when I'm with clients, if they go into the story, I stop them, because that's not what we're here to focus on. I'm not here to listen to you complain or lament about the story. I'm here to help you break the pattern. And there's a big difference. Dreaming, and I'm talking daydreaming. When I can get into that, I get so happy. And that's a big law of attraction benefit and asset. What takes my energy is feeling controlled by it, whatever it is in my life that doesn't feel good. Being physical gives me energy. Sitting down doing nothing, while I may need to do that if I'm licking wounds or really just in a heavy energy place, but I don't necessarily like sitting doing nothing or feeling unaccomplished. Making my dreams come true gives me energy. Falling beneath what I know I can do really saps my energy, and it drives me crazy too. When I know I'm capable of much more and I'm not doing it or can't do it, or am too laden with heavy energy. And mind you, I'm talking about some of these stages that I went through. There was a time when I couldn't do any of this, and all I could do was watch TV, eat sugar, and hide. I was drowning. And so a lot of these things have evolved through the time of me cleaning up my subconscious beliefs, my emotional beliefs, how it's holding in my body, where it's reacting on me, what I'm believing to be true that is outdated. You get the idea? Being playful, silly, and laughing gives me energy. And sometimes if you're around people who are dead ducks or just have no fun, or they're just too serious thinking about icky stuff all the time, they can't be playful a lot of the time. And being silly or laughing at videos that just crack me up. I did that the other night and it felt so good. Oh my gosh, it lifted my mood like crazy. Pleasing me first versus pleasing them first. Now, I know everybody talks about it's better to give than to receive. And I'm telling you, if you are in a place where you are drowning or you are in really heavy energy, that may work for you to get you out of it. But as a coach who does tapping consultations and sessions with people, I know that if you are trained to put others first and you're drowning, it will only cause more resentment, more frustration, draining of your energy. It's not always the right thing to do. My opinion, I know there are people who would differ with that, but for me, when I gave until it hurt, and I did, in some ways. When people were very, very ill, I was emotionally and physically exhausted afterwards. And the thought of helping someone else or giving to someone else not only was draining for me, it angered me because it was giving too much to them before I was filled up. When you are in the right place to give, it's a wonderful feeling and it comes naturally. When you're pushing it to try to feel better, you probably need to do some introspective work, some tapping, something to change your energy, get some help to change a pattern. If you're always giving and not receiving, you are out of balance. And I just would disagree with anybody that would say, oh, keep giving, it'll feel better. Not when you're so drained and depleted. It does not feel better. So you're getting the idea of what I'm talking about here. I mean, this isn't just about, eating better or getting exercise, and those are on my list too, but it's really about being around gentle, kind people, playful people, and the opposite, those are the people that drain me. And I find myself, when I'm trying to give advice that is outside of a coaching kind of situation, what I realize is that I'm trying to get you to stop because I don't want to be around that energy. Now, I know everybody needs a sounding board, and I'm a very good friend to do that too, but when it's constant, I can't deal with that. I don't want to deal with that. That's your issue, and I don't want to be the dumping ground. And a lot of people get into that habit of, I'll support you, in hopes that I get something in return. Here's where putting yourself first is really important. A lot of people do patterns, me included. I was in a lot of patterns where I gave. That's what I thought as a little girl would then help me get what I needed. I had to unlearn some of that. I had to unlearn that just because the 4 people in my house, including parents, 2 parents and 2 siblings, they were all older than me. So I was surrounded by authority and everybody was telling me how to do things. Well, I got into that mode of rebellion against being told how to do everything, but I never figured out how to break the pattern. This can be the first step of what do you do that energizes you and what do you do that drains your energy. And sometimes seeing it in black and white will say, okay, I know this feels better, then why can't I do that? Some of the awareness may be enough to help you get over a hump of something you've been doing that's causing you pain. But more likely, if you're very trained into those kind of scenarios, you're going to say, I can't do this because, or yeah, but. And then you've got some subconscious beliefs that are holding you back. And when you start to release those, doing a technique like EFT. And I want to point out, a lot of things on YouTube can help you in a pinch. They are not meant to necessarily get to the deeper roots and the subconscious programming that starts early on. They're there to give a boost a lot of the time. They're there to give a nudge in the right direction at the time. But most of those are so short, mine included, are so short that they're not enough to get into the root and dissolve the patterns or the emotional hold that's around a pattern that's unwanted, that is actually draining you. So I hope some of this helps. I hope it brings some awareness. I hope it gives you some things of why you might be doing some things the way you do. If you can't do certain things that are in your best interest, there's something there that's blocking you, and that would be the next step. But this is the first step. I hope it helps. And if you have any comments or questions or whatever, you can always contact me. You can make comments below the video. And if this is something that you'd like to hear more of and you need this kind of help or guidance, because I'm not telling you this is the end all be all. I'm saying this may be something that can help you. If you like that kind of information, you need that kind of information, you're seeking that kind of information, subscribe. If you know somebody that can be helped by this kind of information, because birds of a feather tend to stick together. That's an energetic kind of thing. You tend to stay in the vibration that you're in, and you attract people who are in that vibration as well. So if you're in a slump, chances are you're around people who are in a slump. If you're in the depression, chances are you're around depressing people. If you're around happy, it just kind of goes together. The vibrations line up. So the more you can get yourself into a happy space, you won't have to depend on anything out there, meaning people, places, situations, to bring you joy, you'll be able to start to fan the flame of that yourself. And that is so important. I can't stress it enough. Everything outside of you doesn't have to control you. And those were some huge lessons for me, because everybody outside of me controlled me, as it is for a lot of people when they're kids. But if you get stuck in that energy and you don't know how to undo it, it can become a pattern for decades, for the rest of your life. And you know you don't want it, but how the heck do you change it? This is step 1. Step 2 would be, okay, what would you have to believe to make those come true? Then changing the energy, the beliefs. I use tapping. I coach with tapping. But there are other techniques that would work for people as well. You have to find those things and seek them out and ask for guidance. So until our paths cross again next time, I hope this helps, and bye-bye for now.